That's a very, 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 very good point. Hey,
Hey,
we are
I'm in
live
mid-conversation.
mid conversation. What is going on, everybody? We are back with episode 2 of season 3, or season 3, episode 2. I don't know which one comes first. I guess the
Oh,
season always comes first of Disney Movie Review. And welcome in, everybody. Daniel, good to see you, young man.
for the good of all
For the
three.
good of all three. That's right.
Woohoo!
What's going on, my man? How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm really excited for this week's episode. I'll tell you what, that when I pulled this movie this week, I was so excited because this is Disney. This is a classic. Yeah, I remember last week you said pick a good one, and I mean, I'm not giving away our grades yet, but this could be a doozy. This could be a really, really good one for us. So I'm really looking forward to discussing Mary Poppins, the classic
And
Mary Poppins.
exactly. And the thing about that is, it is a classic. But I think what Dan and I will really touch on today, everybody, is how well does it still hold up today?
Yeah.
Because it's a classic, but is it a classic that still would be considered relevant or wonderful or amazing, even in today's world? We'll give you our answer on whether it is in just a little bit. But yeah, man, this is exciting. I'm glad to be back. We do have our sponsor for this week. I'll be sure to go over the sponsor in just a little bit. But how's everything in your life, man? Before we get started, everything good?
Yeah, super busy. I think last week I mentioned that I'm starting a podcast.
Yes,
So
sir.
I recorded my first episode this week. I'm just in the
Nice.
process of editing it. It's called the Slimming Stomachs Podcast. It's all about sort of healthy living, healthy eating, healthy sort of exercise, all that kind of stuff, and not buying bottled water from Disney. But yeah, doing that, and then just lots of other stuff with
Good.
work and wedding and all that kind of stuff, all the good stuff. So
All the
but
exciting stuff.
But this is the exciting part. I love Wednesday nights where we can just sit and chat about movies and see everyone in the chat. So
Agreed. Again, guys, we're going to be making this a very, very routine habit as much as we can moving forward. Season 3 is going to be, I think, our best season. I really do. I think we're going to
I
have a
absolutely
blast.
think so.
I agree. But well, let's do some quick mousekeeping, and then we'll get right into this. Of course, Dean over at the Live Place. Check him out, theliveplace.com, for family-friendly streams. If you're looking for that certain streamer, certain day of the week, certain time, certain genre, because it's not all Disney over there, check out Dean over at the Live Place. He is your TV guide of live streamers. We have 4 partner channels. One of them is right here, this guy right next to me, Disney Dan, who, of course, is live on Wednesdays, right here for Disney Movie Review, and his new podcast, which as soon as his first episode is out, we're going to give it to you so you guys can go listen to it. So check out Dan's channel. Steve Earle goes live on Monday nights. Pete McDevitt is probably live right now. He's live all the time. And, of course, Desire Dream, Jeff and Angela are live on Thursdays, Saturdays, Sundays. What's going on, Daniel? You good? Dan, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
No, I've lost all. I think it's my end. Hold on. Let me come back out and come back in again.
All right, everybody in the chat, can you guys hear me? Dan can't hear me. Can you guys hear me? I can hear Dan.
I'll be back.
All right. Hey. Anyway, while Dan's doing that, I want to say thank you to our members, of course. Membership, you guys are fantastic. We aren't able to run this channel without the memberships that we have. So your extra generosity and loyalty members are just absolutely amazing. And, of course, our mods, thank you to our mods for being just the best mods out there. I think we have the best mods there are. And, of course, we're going to now do a quick chat check while we have a minute. Alex Kennett's here. Yvonne is here. Leanne Sherbick, Rob Rathman, Disney Dan, Jackie McDonald, John Messina, Iowa Disney Daddy is here.
There we go.
Hey, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. I don't know what happened.
John Messina, and let's see, Keith BDF is here as well. 820 Chief is here as well. So we just did chat check, saying hi to everybody.
Hi,
Daniel, say hi to everybody in the chat.
Hi.
But yes, we are going to talk right now about the one, the only Mary Poppins.
Yeah.
Of course, Mary Poppins. I'm going to pull it up right now. 1964 film came out. Julie Andrews, Ed Wynn, Dick Van Dyke. So many great people in this movie. I always keep forgetting that Ed Wynn is in this movie. And for those that don't know, Ed Wynn, the voice of the Mad Hatter. He's
and
in
a
this
few
film.
other characters as well. He's been in a lot of the animated films. And,
He has.
He's one of those, because if you look at animation as a whole in Disney history, like they use a lot of the same voice actors, and Edwin was one that they used a lot, and his iconic voice was the Mad Hatter. So it's amazing to sort of see that role almost in live action, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. I think Julie Andrews won Best Actress in a Leading Role.
Yep.
For the Academy Award. I think they won Best Music.
No surprise.
Visual effects, I think they won some stuff for. They definitely have, this movie is very acclaimed for sure.
Well, they also won Worst Accent Award.
See, I knew you were going to get it. I don't understand. Here's the thing. I agree with you. I mean, his accent just isn't that good. But to me, I don't know. I can't see anybody else playing Bert as in this role. I love Dick Van Dyke in this. I'm sorry, I do. I know he's American. He's not British, but I don't know. His accent's terrible. You're right.
He portrays a fantastic character. Like the actual character of Bert is a really intriguing, very sort of, you want to sort of back him, you want to sort of support him. But apart from his accent, like, he's a brilliant character. Like his accent is a mix. He's trying to be what we call Cockney London, which is hello, love, how you doing?
Right.
And it's not like, he's almost like, hello, how you do? It's almost like a posh Cockney Kermit the Frog.
Right.
That's what he's actually producing. Like, it just doesn't work. And,
well, it's really, I think it's absolutely hilarious that to this day, 60 years later, like almost 60 years later, we still refer to this as part of the talking point is his accent in this film.
And
it's really funny.
And whenever we get onto the film Saving Mr. Banks, which is kind of like how they made the film, I remember a scene in the film where P.L. Travers says, Dick Van Dyke? Are you kidding me?
Yeah. I don't know how true that was in real life, but that probably happened. And it's funny you said that. I'm hoping Saving Mr. Banks is in the box. I'm sure it probably is.
It certainly is.
And that is a wonderfully told story. I'm probably giving away my grade of how P.L. Travers gave the rights to do this movie, Mary Poppins, to Walt Disney himself.
Absolutely.
It really is pretty neat. But let's kind of get into this. But you know what? Actually, before we get into it, I want to go over our sponsor. I got to say thank you to our sponsor this week, if you don't mind.
Oh, yeah.
Let's do that real fast. Our sponsor this week is the Chimchurri Chimney Cleaning Company. Look, anybody out there that has a chimney, you realize that after a while it needs to be cleaned, right? Well, it's one of those things. Look, when your chimney's all dirty and it needs a gleam, call Chimchurri Chimney to give it a clean. They'll pop in your chimney and give it a sweep, and their prices are something we like to call cheap. The mess will be gone and your chimney looking new. So don't wait another minute. You know what to do. Call Chimchurri Chimney and be filled with delight. When they're done cleaning your chimney, let's all go fly a kite. Chimchurri Chimney Cleaning Company, guys. Wonderful company. Be sure to check them out. 1-800-CHIMNEY.
Their sales are going to go sky high.
They're amazing. I mean, I couldn't believe it. I mean, we don't even have a chimney, but when I spoke to their spokesperson, we're now having one installed just so they can clean it.
I mean, I live in a block of apartments and we don't have a chimney, but they've been knocking on our doors.
Anyway, be sure to check them out. The owner of the company is Bert. He'll be more than happy to help you guys out with anything you might need.
Oh yeah.
If he's not available, his wife Mary is there as well. So check him out. Anyway, well, let's get into this movie a little bit.
Yes.
We're going to start right off from the very beginning. Again, London, 1800s.
Yep.
Would you say this is the time frame, right?
Well, it's the suffragettes, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's 1800s, right, for the women's suffrage?
Yes.
Okay. Folks in the chat, you're more than welcome to correct us on our history. But, women's suffrage and voting is definitely a thing during this movie. Hey, Matt, Simba 2, welcome in, buddy. Good to see you. But, we kind of start right away with Mary Poppins up in the clouds. and I always like to say this, Dan. I kind of want your opinion on this. Is she, how do we take? Is she an angel? Is that
See,
what this is?
I think she's more
A guardian angel type? I don't. What is she?
I was gonna go more mutant. Because the abilities that she has,
Hi, Jennifer.
She certainly has the mutant gene. Because we'll talk about what powers she has when we go through the film. But I guess if you're really depicting it, she is kind of, you could say sort of the guardian angel kind of thing.
Well, that's how I take it, because she's up in the clouds when we start. So she's up, in the clouds. That's what to me, that's the connotation that I'm getting.
Yeah.
Welcome in, Sean, 1989. Welcome in, buddy. And what he says, well, nice collection in the back. Thank you. Yeah, we got a lot of stuff. But I'm sorry, Dan, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No,
so early 1900s, maybe.
Early 1900s. And I don't know about you, but as soon as the film opens and the orchestra are playing sort of the Feed the Birds soundtrack in the background, that always gives me goosebumps. Like, straight up, this is Mary Poppins.
Mm-hmm.
Feed the Birds has been recorded as Walt Disney's favorite song, bearing in mind that the Sherman Brothers did write the music to this film. And there is not one awful song in this film. There's not even one mediocre song in this film. Every song in this film is unbelievable. And
hi, Frank.
Opening with Feed the Birds it kind of gets you prepared. It's right. Sure. You're going to go on an emotional ride. It's going to be fun. Yeah. It's going to be, I think it's how they use the music in this film is phenomenal.
Right. Well, and again, we're starting in the 1900s, women's suffrage, mom and dad, Mr. and Mrs. Banks, and the two children, and their names I will bring up here in just a second. I'm sure that Dan may have them off the top of his head. You have Jane and Michael.
Yep.
It's kind of one of those households where he's well off. He's upper class for sure. Yep. They have two maids. They have a lot of money. He works at the bank. He works a lot of hours. Will Lovins, welcome in, Will. Good to see you. And the kids, I don't want to use the word neglected, but I guess it was the time. It was those times back then where nannies took over and the parents kind of did what they had to do, support the family and like that. So the dad and the mom didn't invest as much time in their children. Mom included in this because she's out doing the women's suffrage voting right thing.
She's very
a lot.
She's protesting. The first main song in the film is the women's suffragette song.
It is. Yes,
and she's the one really at the forefront of it.
Mm-hmm.
And immediately you sort of see the family dynamic. You see Mr. Banks. He's very logical. He wants everything done in a certain
discipline,
time.
Stern. Yes. Yep.
He walks in at 6 a.m. I do this. At 6:02, this happens. At 6:05, I send the kids off to bed. Like, it's very diligent. And he says he says it throughout the film. Like, the house is like the bank. It's very done, very methodically. And then you get that complete contrast of when John and Michael sort of recite their song, which is more loving and soothing and less sort of firm. And it's a very warm and sort of eye-opening understanding of this family.
Yeah. And that's the dynamic. The parents are off doing their own thing, not giving as much attention to the kids that they probably should be giving them. And the kids kind of lash out because the nanny that they originally have, Nana or whatever I forgot what her name was, but the nanny that they had was done. She was at her wit's end with them. She didn't want to put up with them anymore. She's like, you know what? I'm done. I'm out of here. I can't do it anymore. So Mr. Banks comes home. She says, I quit. And off she goes. Well, they now need a new nanny. And this is kind of, I like this part because, he's there and he's thinking about how the different things of what he's going to do to get this new nanny. Hey, John, Surf Bum, welcome in. Good to see you. And of course, that's when we kind of get into Mary Poppins. But I will say I was really surprised because I hadn't seen this in a while. We're about 20 minutes into this film before we actually see Mary Poppins really into this, which was surprised me as much as it did. But so he puts out a feeler of hey, we need a new nanny. And I actually like this part, Dan. And if I've skipped some parts, we can go back, please. But I do like the part when he's getting ready to interview all the new nannies, and they're all outside, lined up, and then the winds of change, as I like to call it, winds in the east, comes in, and all the nannies go flying up.
You just see one just going.
She just stands there and goes like this.
She's just like this happens to me all the time. I'm used to this. Bye. It's not like she's.
All the other ones are flipping or doing this, and she's just like
she's treating this as this is normal because this is so British weather that there's tornadoes in London that just sweep nannies off their feet. I mean, this is something that's bearing in mind does not happen here in the UK. These nannies, and this is done obviously for comedic effect, but it was quite amusing watching these nannies just get swept away while obviously Mary Poppins comes in.
Right, exactly. Welcome in, Katie Mack. Well, good to see you. Leanne, I didn't know that. Leanne says Katie Nana was played by Elsa Lancaster, who went on to play the Bride of Frankenstein. How about that? I didn't know that. Interesting. But anyway, so these all the nannies are blown away, and in comes the beautiful. I didn't realize just how pretty Julie Andrews was when she was young. She was really, really pretty. Yeah. I mean, it's just that I don't even know how, like, the girl next door pretty look to her face. She really was beautiful. But, she shows up at the door with her umbrella and her carpet bag. And I like that scene. I just like how she comes in and introduces herself. And
it was almost like it wasn't so much an introducing, it was more of just going up to Mr. Banks and just being like,
that's true. Hey, I'm here.
This is the application. You wanted somebody who was fun yet stern. You wanted one who plays games all the time, but in certain ways. And he's just like losing his mind. He's gone some sort of delusion because he ripped up this application that the kids wrote, and he ripped them up and put it in the fire. It's just like, how, what? This doesn't make any sense. Am I going through some hallucination?
Right.
Am I having a crisis or whatever it is?
Hey, Richard.
And she just sort of talks herself into. I wish I had her ability where I could just talk myself into a job like that. That'd be brilliant.
Richard's here. John's the legend. Welcome in.
Hey,
good to see you, my man. And Charlie and Stacy, the Disney Nerd Herders, are here as well. And the best name in YouTube, Super Fluffy Yeti.
Super Fluffy Yeti.
Good to have you guys all here. But I did like that, and I like how you're right. He's all flustered, and he's like, "Okay, I guess you got the job." In so many words, and then of course she goes upstairs to introduce herself to the kids, and this is when we get the first real inkling of, you talk about powers that she has, and it's her going up the steps, right? Isn't that her on the banister going up the steps?
It's almost like a Disney version of Jaws, when you see the kids like overlooking the banisters, and if you overplayed like Mary Poppins going up the banister, going dun it, going all the way up the banister. It's like, she's coming. Oh no! Who is this woman who they've just hired? And Mrs. Banks just like, you've hired someone already? That was quick. You can send them all home now.
Yes, and he goes,
the dog is at the door. The dog is at the door, and the maid is just like, the job is done.
Right, exactly. But I like when she goes upstairs and she talks to the kids, and she goes in the nursery, and the nursery is a wreck. But we'll get to that in a second. But I like when she goes into her room where the part where she's gonna sleep, and she's like, this won't do. And she brings out the giant
classic,
the light. She brings out the lamp. She brings out the hat. She brings out the giant mirror, because the mirror she's got is really small.
Yeah,
exactly. And it's actually, for 1964, it's a great special effect.
Yeah.
Because they really do it well. They have the little boy go under the table at the same time as she's reaching far in. It's a cool special effect for 1964. I personally don't even know how they really did it. They must have spliced it together somehow or something. But it's a neat, cool effect that I'm sure back in 1964 blew people away.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
But again, this is one of those things where you're kind of seeing the abilities or powers or whatever you want to call it, the specialness that is Mary Poppins, and then how she cleans the room. She snaps her fingers and says things, and everything gets cleaned up. And then the kids were able to do it too. It's a fun time.
She's either Jean Grey and can move things with her mind, or she's got the Force, or she just has like the powers of
telekinetic ability.
Yeah, but
yes, we're not codfish. Close your mouth.
I mean, she just has like she can pretty much do whatever she could do whatever she wants, and it's just. But I just love the fact that it is so unusual, and it is so like she's just not this average nanny. She actually has this sort of way of making you want to tidy your room, making you want to not sort of be rude and be, you know, elegant and have that etiquette when you live. So,
right.
And she does, and actually you'll find this quite surprising, but certainly here in the UK, we take a lot of we take our British values and etiquette very seriously. Well, some of us do, and you can see that. You can see those skills transferred from the film, from Mary Poppins into day-to-day life. It's really interesting.
I agree. But again, so she's been introduced to the kids, and of course now she's like, "Well, let's go outside and play," you know, like they were supposed to do. And so they go outside, and this is where she meets Bert, you know, Dick Van Dyke. Outside, and he's done his drawings on the ground and things like that. And again, if I jump too far, let me know, please, Dan. I know you're the
no, you're absolutely right. It does sort of remind me of, I know, going all the way back to the beginning when Bert is the one-man band,
right?
And I love the opening where he's walking around the town with the drum and the
exactly, and kind of introducing. But the thing here's one of the things I'll say though, and I wish they had kind of expanded on this a little bit. Bert knows who Mary is.
Yeah.
But they don't really say how he knew who she was. I guess it's technically irrelevant to the story of what they're trying to tell, because the story is really about the mom and dad and the kids and bringing them together in their relationship and mending that relationship and making it better. And Mary's part in that. Her relationship with Bert really isn't the story. But I would have liked to have known how he knew her previously. I guess it's from other times when she's helped other families. Do you have an opinion on that?
No doubt that Disney will make a prequel about how they first met. Maybe they just keep it simple and maybe they just met online or something. I don't know.
What's up, Paul Engel? Welcome in, buddy.
17 Cherry Tree Lane.
Oh, it's great. I love it. But this is where I want to get into this. So this is where she's met Bert at this point. He's done the drawings and they talk about the drawings. And then this is where they jump into the drawings and we start to get into the animation side of things. This is where I'm going to have you take over for me a little bit, because for me, if I have one critique, I think this is a 2.5 hour movie. I think we could probably take about 20 minutes out of this movie. And I think for me, I hate to say it, guys, this part with the animation, I don't know. For me, it's my least, and that's not a bad thing. It's my least favorite part of the film is the animation. I'm not sure how it connects to the story we're telling, other than just to give us an idea of what Mary's abilities are. I don't know.
I think if you put yourselves back in 1964, was it?
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, P.L. Travers. I don't take this what you will from the film Saving Mr. Banks, but P.L. Travers was adamant of not having animation in this film. She's like, I don't want it. It doesn't work. I just don't want this to be tarnished by animations and silly cartoons. That's what she said, apparently. And I think the reason why they put this and why Walt Disney wanted to put this in the film was because he could, and because he knew he could. And I think that's kind of what he wanted to make sort of everyone go, wow, this is amazing. This is something brand new and breathtaking and revolutionary, and which it absolutely was. You know, everybody remembers supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Everyone remembers sort of the horse race and the carousel scene where they break away from the carousel, and
absolutely.
And even the red coat scene, which is really quite dark. If you really think about what the red coat scene is, it's a hunt. It's a hunt for this fox, and I don't remember that at all. And actually, it's something that's been banned here in the UK for quite a long time. Is certainly dated, this red coats sort of living of hunting. So, do they need it now in 2023? Probably not. Yeah. But was it? I think did I think that they needed it sort of back in 1964? Possibly. I think something that's maybe moved with the times a bit slowly. Possibly.
Maybe. I mean, I get it. I mean, you want to appeal to children as well, and I think that ultimately you're giving that for maybe a younger audience. I guess it's fine. I don't hate it. I just think if somebody said to me, "Okay, cut 20 minutes from this film," that might be the area where I start as to what I get rid of. But you're right. There are certain songs during that time that we can't get rid of. Like you said, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. That's one of the most popular songs of all time.
And arguably one of the most important songs in the film.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's true, because when we get to the end, it plays a big part. I agree with you 100%. And yes, Dan, Matt, we did talk about Bert's accent and how authentic it is. I agree with you. When I watched it, I actually thought it was Dan who was talking. That's how much Bert sounds so British. It's amazing.
Maybe I'll just speak like this for the rest of the stream. This is my Dick Van Dyke impression.
Hello, Governor.
Hello, Governor.
Hello.
I'm trying to do a British accent, but it doesn't work.
Cut nothing. It's perfection. Oh, right. So that's good. That's the point. And that's why we do these reviews. Again, I'm not saying it needs to be cut. But there are areas where we can take this 2.5-hour movie and make it a little bit smaller. Super Fluffy Yeti says the animation is very long and the Uncle Ben scene adds nothing to the narrative, yet it is a fantastic scene. The special effects, the song, Edwin, so on. That was where I was going to cut the rest of my film if I had to cut it. I thought the scene with the Uncle Albert and Edwin, it's fun. The special effects are amazing. But I tend to agree, I didn't understand how it enhanced the narrative for me. So that's my two scenes in this that are probably near the back end of favorite scenes for me, for what it's worth.
I mean, let's take so they exit the world of animation, and they go back to the house, and actually we get one of the most underrated songs, I think, in Disney history, and that is the song "Stay Awake," where the kids have just had an amazing, extraordinary day, and they don't want to go to bed. And the fact that Mary Poppins is sort of saying, "Oh yeah, don't go to sleep yet, stay awake," but actually singing the song, and it's a beautiful lullaby. It's a really lovely song, and they've almost been. It's just such a soothing song. And then we get into the next morning, we get into the Uncle Albert scene.
Yeah. And the Uncle Albert scene, don't get me wrong, is Edwin. He's great. And I like the scene. I think the scene just drags a little bit. I think we could probably take a little bit of that and knock it down from a 10-minute scene to maybe a 6-minute or 5-minute scene. It's not that I dislike it. I like it. I understand the point of it. And it actually, again, comes into play later. But for me, I like the scene. I just, as a reviewer of a movie, I've got to look at it objectively where I can and what I would do. That's for me the scene that's probably going to be the one where I'm going to say, let's take a little bit out of this. We don't need to elaborate go as far as we need to go with it. The point was made within the first 5 minutes. We don't need 10 of it.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think when it comes to the things like the Uncle Albert scene, the supercalifragilistic animation scene, I feel like every scene in this film has a purpose, especially with sort of the ending, the last sort of 10 minutes.
Hi, 87.
For me, cutting this would be quite difficult because you still need to explain what is going on. Because if you're looking at this Uncle Albert scene, they're just going to a guy who's laughing so much that he's in the air, and then we'll see him later. Like, I like to sort of get to know, I know we don't see him often. Maybe it was
That's the only scene you see him in when they go visit him for that.
Absolutely.
For that scene is the only time you visit him. What
Maybe
I'm saying is,
I love Edwin. I don't know.
Exactly, but I love to laugh is fun, and I think it should be there. I agree with you, and they're making the point of the importance of laughter and what laughter can do for you, and I get that. What I'm saying, like they drag it a little bit. That's all. I don't think the whole thing should be cut. Not at all. I think it's important to what we're telling as a story here, because again, what happens at the end, what happens to Uncle Albert and the kids and all when they're laughing happens to somebody else at the end of this film. Somebody that really needs it. So I get the importance behind it. I just, again, as a reviewer, these are the areas where I would say, okay, let's take a little bit of that. We need it. We don't need that much of it. That's all I'm saying.
I will say that the Mary Poppins universe is not one of the universes I would want to live in. Because imagine, like, God forbid, you were, let's say, using the facility and taking a number 2 and you're watching a video on your phone and you start laughing.
Like, you go, man. Well, that's, hey, you know what happens? What can you do?
It just, it's not a universe I'd like to live in. Maybe they should do that as like a sequel, just like everyday life of Mary Poppins characters and what they do.
Oh my God, that's
if they
so
start
funny.
laughing, and if they start laughing, like they're forbidden to laugh, because if they laugh, then everything's going to go awry.
Oh, that's so funny.
And then you just see people floating in the air, getting hit by drones and
you're funny.
And planes and things. Sounds like a horror film. Moving on.
well, yeah. Let's move on a little bit. So after Uncle Albert, they come back. They come back to the house and they're talking about, again, he's ready to sack Mary Poppins, and she talks him into taking the kids to work. Because I actually think this is a really important part of this.
Yeah.
She talks about taking the kids to work with him, and again, he's kind of tricked into. I don't want to use the word tricked, but kind of finagled into taking. He doesn't really want to take them to work with him, but he'll do it, and he does, and he takes them to work. And I'll let Dan explain the work scene a little bit when he takes them to work, because ultimately his work is priority number 1 for the dad. That's the one thing I'll always say. His job comes first, and that's how I feel anyway. That's how I see him. His proper life. This, and this has to be done.
He's doing it to support his family, but we don't really get that from him in the film,
right?
And before they leave, this is where we get Mary Poppins saying to, the children to feed the birds.
That's true, Alex.
And feeding the birds is one of the best songs in Disney history. And you just see outside St. Paul's Cathedral in London, you see this old woman who's feeding the birds. And what slipped my mind. What Michael wants to do is to use his tuppence. He wants to spend it by feeding the birds outside St. Paul's Cathedral. So they go to the bank, and Michael's like, I want to feed the birds. And Mr. Banks is like, nope, you're coming into the bank. You are going to deposit.
Make a deposit. Yep.
You're going to make a deposit. You're going to earn money. You're going to earn interest. It's going to be brilliant. He's like, no, I want to feed the birds. So Jane and Michael were brought into the bank. They were surrounded by these big sort of officials, and the oldest of the officials is Dick Van Dyke. You didn't know. I think you did. You must have known that, right?
Yeah, Mr. Dawes. He's Mr. Dawes. Yeah. He's Mr. Dawes Senior.
Yeah, Mr. Dawes Senior.
Yeah, he plays the owner of the bank.
Yeah.
Who is the owner, the CEO, the proprietor, whatever you want to call him.
That's it.
And he's all about money.
he's all about money. They're all singing in unison together about you must, deposit your money into the bank. Michael's like, no, 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 no. And then almost like a big brawl starts, like sort of big argument. Jane and Michael sort of rush out of the bank, and then you hear like these customers who want to deposit their money. Hey, that guy's trying to steal this kid's money, and they were like, lock down the bank, and they're locking down the bank, and it's just it causes mayhem within the bank itself.
But it's funny because that's what that is right there. Even to this day, is a relevant topic of how just one little thing can snowball into a giant chaotic mess over a total misunderstanding. It's all because they saw him leaving the bank and the bank trying to get the money. Everybody's like, uh-oh, do they not have enough money? And then they're like, well, I want all my money. And then I want all my money. And then all of a sudden we got to run on the bank. And it's true, though. These things happen all the time. And I think that was an interesting part of the film, how they used that in real life type things as part of the film. Their run on the bank and how they had to close the doors really, really fast. And that was interesting. I like that.
Yeah, they had no ATMs back then, so they couldn't just
No, you had to go to the teller. Yep.
So they sort of run away. They meet an old woman in an alley, and then they go run around, and then they bump into Bert.
Mm-hmm.
And they're kind of a bit shook. They're, a bit scared, and Bert is there to comfort Jane and Michael.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get into the Chim Chimney, Chim Chimney, Chim Chim Chiroo song, and of course, Step in Time.
Mm-hmm.
And Mary Poppins obviously joins them up on the rooftops. And we've said for the last 3 seasons of doing this show, we talk about the commercial scenes, the scenes that you see in all the commercials for Disney films and things. That scene of Step in Time on the rooftops of London is iconic. It's absolute Dick Van Dyke with all the chimney sweeps. I love that scene so much because I played a chimney sweep in the school play for Mary Poppins, and it kind of resonates a lot to me. I didn't have a big role. I was just a chimney sweep. But it was just like a huge deal for Disney and we still see it in all the commercials. We see this scene. And I love the fact that they go off the rooftops back down into 17 Cherry Tree Lane, and they go, "It's the master stepping in time. What's all this? What's all this?" And they
in the house, yes.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah. It really is.
It's really funny.
I agree. Look, this film is a musical at heart. It really is a musical at heart.
It is.
There's so many different songs, and you're right. There's so many classic songs in this thing. But I want to jump back for a second before Step in Time. You're talking about Chim Chimney, Chim Chimney, and I want to talk about when Bert finds the kids. They're all upset, and Bert looks at them and says, "What's wrong?" And they talk about how their dad doesn't love them. And he made a really good point, which I think, and they actually talk about it in Saving Mr. Banks too. They talk about, the person I feel bad for is your dad.
Yeah.
He says, because your mom's got your dad, and you guys got your mom and your dad. But who does your dad have when things are down? He doesn't have anybody. That's how he explains it to the kids. And he goes, your dad's a good man. He works hard for you. He loves you.
Yeah.
But you're right. Somebody said it in the chat. He's not connected to his kids. Even when his kids laugh, he doesn't understand it. And he thinks they're them being out of sorts. But I did like that, how Bert sticks up for the dad and tries to get the kids to understand where he's coming from a little bit. Bye, Keith. See you, buddy.
And it's all, it goes back to that Saving Mr. Banks phrase where, P.L. Travers says to Walt Disney, you think Mary Poppins is here to save the children? Because that's not what P.L. Travers wanted it to be. It was for Mr. Banks to sort of have that realization that the family is there to support him and to love him and be there for him, rather than Mary Poppins being there for the children.
And going back to the bank scene, when everything happens at the bank and the kids cause all the chaos and the commotion, the bank owner says to Mr. Banks, he says, you need to come back tonight at 9:00 because we need to talk to you. And he knows what's going to happen to him tonight at 9:00 when he goes back. So I like that part too. But somebody mentioned where they go up into the clouds or on the dust smoke, and they look out at London, and the lights come on. That is a neat scene as well. I do like that. But let's kind of move forward a little bit because I want to make sure we don't run out of time.
Yeah, yeah.
Mr. Banks at this point, he's home and he knows he's got to go to work. He's really upset. He's downtrodden and things like that. I like the part when he goes to work. I guess we'll kind of, if you want, Dan, we'll kind of forward to that part if that's all right.
Yeah,
with you.
yeah, no, that's fine. I was just going to bring up very quickly.
Yeah,
Mr. Banks and Bert.
Hey, Kelsey, welcome
in the living room.
And Christina, welcome in.
When Bert is just almost singing the Banks song to Mr. Banks about sort of life as a father, as a role model. And right. I love the fact that these two characters who really have no sort of relation to each other. One is trying to make money through sort of hard labor, and one is a banker. I love the sort of the chemistry that these two characters actually quite had together before Mr. Banks inevitably went to the bank for the sack.
Right.
Essentially.
Right. Yeah, I agree. But the whole film at this point is the relationship of the dad trying to understand the kids and not understanding who they are, and Mary Poppins showing them that life can be fun and happy, and trying to get the two of them connected. That's what she's ultimately there for. So when the dad does go back to the bank and he's there and they're about to sack him, it's when he finally has that epiphany moment, that realization of, life can be, it's not always about this, and this. It's okay to be happy and have fun and do things and be a little, I don't want to say off kilter, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. It's just things can swing in all different directions.
Right. Yeah, and it's okay. And you can flow with it and go with the punches and see where the wind takes you. It doesn't have to be proper with everything in order every single day. And I like that because I don't remember what the joke was, but he recites the joke to the owner first, the bank owner, and himself, and then he starts laughing, and then he starts saying supercalifragilisticexpialidocious out loud, and he's laughing.
Yeah,
and the owner,
he doesn't know what to say, does he? He has no idea what to say.
But he's finally right. But he's finally happy, and he realizes, what am I missing with my kids? I need to be enjoying life, enjoying my family, and enjoying what I have. And I think that's at least that's how I see it. That's what he's finally got.
Yeah, absolutely. But I love Alex's comment. I love how the film, how they fire him when one of the board members, I think it was Mr. Dawes Jr., quietly puts the fist through the hat and then straight on the head.
Yes.
And he returns home, and obviously Mary Poppins is now leaving. The winds have changed again.
Yes.
And you almost have this scene where Mr. Banks walks in with a brand new kite, and this kind of reflects what happened at the start of the film, where the reason why Jane and Michael were not at the start of the film was because they were trying to catch their old kite. Their kite was damaged. Right. And so they bring it in.
The dad fixed it.
And the dad fixed it. And brings the family together. And then the mother, you obviously begin with the suffragettes. She ties, the tail to the kite.
Every kite has to have a good tail.
Let's fly the kites, and then we get the "Let's Go Fly a Kite" song, and everyone sort of comes together while Mary Poppins sort of rides off into the sunset. My work here is done. She's saying, and
basically, yeah.
And that's kind of where we're at, and that's the end of the film.
Let me go over a couple things with you before we give our letter grade.
Yep.
First off, I want to know from you your favorite character. Then I want to know your favorite song, and then if you have a scene. The song and the scene can be different, or they can be the same. Maybe the song and the scene is your favorite, but character, song, and scene for you, and then we'll do a letter grade. But before we even get started on that, everybody in the chat, we want to hear from you guys. Let us know in the chat what your letter grade is. We want to know it. This is what we do here. We want to hear from you guys too. What is your letter grade and why you give that letter grade? in the chat. So you let us know that. Once we're done, we'll go through the chat and read off what your comments are. But Dan, go ahead. Character, song.
Yeah. So, favorite character. See, I was going to be very stereotypical and go Mary Poppins herself, but I think I love Mr. Banks too much. I think he's such an intriguing character. I love his sort of demeanor. I love his character. I like his character development. The film really is all about him, which is what I really love. So I'm going to go Mr. Banks is my favorite character. Favorite song has to be A Spoonful of Sugar.
Okay.
And my favorite scene, hands down, is the entirety of Step in Time. On top of the rooftops, just the whole choreography. Everyone is having fun. It's just a spectacle. Like it goes down in cinema history, and not just Disney history, but cinema history. You see that scene all the time in cinema, and it's a wonderful portrayal of the fun of this film. So I'm going to go with Step in Time.
Very nice. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to give my character, scene, and song as well, and then we'll do letter grades, and then we'll see what the chat has to say. Favorite character for me, I'm sorry, it's Mary Poppins. Bert's great. The dad's great.
I'm glad you put Mary Poppins after I felt bad saying Mr. Banks.
Yeah, no, it's got to be Mary Poppins for me.
Yeah.
Julie Andrews, absolutely beautiful, absolutely fantastic in this role. She can sing with the best of them as well. Just commands the entire every scene she's in. She's amazing. I love Mary Poppins. She's awesome in this. My favorite song is "Feed the Birds."
Yeah,
that's easily my favorite song in this film. And there's so many great ones, but that's my favorite song. And then actually, my favorite scene is the last scene when they're all singing "Let's Go Fly a Kite" and they're all outside, and Mary flies off by herself. A little sad, but understanding that she did what she needed to do. And there's the mom and dad with the kids, spending time as a family. That's, to me, I'm old school. I really enjoy that. I think that's part of what life should be about with families. And I really love that last scene. The music is incredible. I always get a tear in my eye on that last scene. No, it's just amazing.
Not the scene with all the nannies getting swooped by a tornado.
That is funny. That's a good scene, though. That's actually really good. Yeah, that's a great scene. But no, I like that one. But you know what, Dan? Before we give our letter grades, let's go into the chat and read the chat's letter grades, and then we'll give ours. All right.
Alrighty.
So we're gonna head. Let's see who we got first.
Leanna Sherbrick was the first. She said an A. Jonathan Chung said A. Rachel said Bert, Feed the Birds, and the animated scene was her favorite. Her letter grade is a little further down. H70 Polo said A cutting edge for the time and timeless. Simba2 says A+, my favorite Disney live action film. Its songs are great and stand the test of time. It has a good moral values and makes everyone feel good. Leanna Sherbrick says A. It's a feel-good movie, great effects, heartwarming. Sebastian the Grau gives it an A+. It's an A-, a super fluffy Yeti, a superior movie. The songs, Julie Andrews' perfect voice, animation, matte paintings, SFX, Studio Effects. I think that's the only meh is the Cherry Tree Lane is clearly on a soundstage. No, it's actually London. It actually is London. Trust me. Rachel Fidian says A+++++++. I think I did one too many pluses. One of the most iconic films of all time. Alex Kennett says A. This is a story of the traditional ways of raising children in the day is challenged, and there is a return to a unified family. Adults remember the joy of childhood and reconnect with their kids. Christopher Slammer, hey guys, just seeing this was I'm meeting Molly. Either one is better, but this is a classic. Absolutely. Jennifer Caruso says A+. Let's go fly a kite is a great song. 91J loves Disney. 9 out of 10. So I'm guessing that's what, like an A. I feel like the kid's kind of annoying, but great production quality of its time. Okay. And SFX, studio effects. Yeah. Sound effects.
All right. Okay. All right, Daniel. Well, why don't you go ahead and give your review and then your letter grade?
Okay. Look, I think there's no sugarcoating that this is not going to get a bad grade from me. This is an all-time classic. It's one of the most important movies in cinema history. It is just lovely and pleasant. It's one of those films like There's no bad guy. It is just a beautiful film from start to finish. It's a wonderful story. Everything just works so well. And yes, there are scenes that may be a little dated that don't relate entirely to the whole film, but in the end, those scenes do pay off in the end. Everyone had a character. Everyone had sort of an arc that they went on. The music, Disney, this is iconic Disney music. There is not one bad song in this movie. The effects, the simple effects of Mary Poppins' handbag, which people still talk about today.
Yeah, I agree.
It's a cultural thing. People's like, "What is your bag like Mary Poppins' bag?" Like, what's like? Is one of those revolutionary films that people almost need to watch in their lifetime because it is such a beautiful, beautiful film. I was debating going back and forth with 2 grades. But I think because this film is so amazing, I think it has to be an A+ for me. I think the small negative things like Dick Van Dyke's accent and the scenes that
Not
are
enough,
slightly
right?
less relevance, they don't knock it enough for it to be it is a perfect film to me.
That's awesome.
So,
hey, look, nothing wrong with that. Well, look, before I give our letter grade, I've got to very, very quickly thank our sponsor for today. Again,
yes, you do.
We got to talk about the Chimichurri Chimney Cleaning Company. Look, guys, all of you out there that have those chimneys, you realize that, look, those chimneys need to be cleaned. And who are you going to call? Not Ghostbusters. You're going to call Chimichurri Chimney Cleaning Company. Look, your chimneys are all dirty and needing a clean. Call Chimichurri Cleaning to give it a clean. They'll pop in your chimney and give it a sweep. And their prices are something we like to call cheap. The mess will be gone and your chimney looking new. So don't wait another minute. You know what to do. Call Chimichurri Chimney and be filled with delight. And when they're done cleaning your chimney, we'll all go fly a kite. Don't forget to check them out, guys. 1-800-CHIMNEY. Bert, the owner, is there for you.
And guys in the chat, this is genuine. We got the phone call this week.
Yeah, got it this week.
And we've had many calls from many sponsors.
They were just so nice. Him and his wife Mary were just wonderful, and I was like, "Hey, we got to go. We got to pop in on them." And
after they heard about our sponsor with the Ford Flyers last week, it was pretty cool.
All right, so my grade.
Sorry, just saying, guys. This. Some people actually like in the chat saying, "What is this? An actual sponsor? Is this real?"
No.
Of course it's real. What are we talking about? We don't make up.
Yeah, come on.
What are you talking about?
Anyway, look. So I got to give you my grade. Love Mary Poppins. Julie Andrews is great. Dick Van Dyke is awesome, accent or not. I still think he brings so much to the role. The dance numbers are great. The songs are iconic. It's absolutely wonderful. I actually think it's Richard and his brothers. It's their best work. Yeah. Robert Sherman. I think it's probably their best work they ever did. The dance numbers are great. The scenes are wonderful. There are a few things here and there that I would change that I think elongate this film a little bit. It's not a perfect film for me, but it's about as close as you can get. And I give it an A. I don't give it an A+, but I do give it an A. It's iconic. I could sit down and watch it again and again and again. There are different parts of it that I may fast forward through, but very little. Yeah. I do like this film a lot. It's head and shoulders better than Mary Poppins Returns. It's not even close. I'm sorry. It's just not.
Which we have reviewed, by the way.
Right, the Teacups Welcome In? Yes, we have. We have absolutely reviewed that one. But there you go. A for me, A+ for Dan, and pretty much an A across the board with everybody else.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's why I was kind of going back and forth with it being an A or an A+. But it's just one of those films that, it will stand the test of time. It is an absolutely beautiful, beautiful movie. And for those who haven't seen it, what are you doing?
Yeah, go see it.
Go watch it.
Yep. Hey, look, before we get in... Oh, go ahead. Did you want to say something?
I was going to say, because we did bring up Mary Poppins Returns, if you guys want to go back and watch any of our reviews that we've done, all 2 seasons, going on to our 3rd season, I have a playlist on my YouTube channel, which is Disney Dan. It's right here. go onto my YouTube channel, click on playlist, Disney movie review. We've done so many reviews, over 50 reviews of all types of Disney movies, from Marvel to Star Wars to Pixar to old classics like The Shaggy Dog, The Cat from Outer Space to Homeward Bound to The Little Mermaids. We've done so much, and we're going to continue doing these because we love these. We absolutely love doing them. And so please go back and listen to our Mary Poppins Returns and see what we think of that film.
Yeah, for sure. And guys, if you haven't already subscribed to Dan's channel, please do so. He is fantastic. And of course, next week's show is going to be on his channel. So when you want to see next week's show, whatever one we pull out of the box here in just a second, subscribe to his channel so you can be here for next week's. It's going to be amazing. Dan's awesome. We have a great time with these. We really, really do. And it's that time, Daniel.
It's that time. So what we're going to need everybody to do. Oh gosh, one's already fallen out of the floor.
That's not the one. Nope, put it back in.
No, I'll put it back in. There we go. What I'm going to need everyone to do is put a drum roll in the chat.
Drum roll in the chat.
Here we go.
And thank you to all of our members. Thank you to all of our mods. Thank you, everybody watching. And next week on Dan's channel at 5 p.m. next week now, 5 p.m.
Okay.
Oh, Lord.
Wow, I wrote that really faintly.
Can you read it, though?
I can read it. I'm not sure it'll be to pick up on that.
I can never read it when you do it, so
I'm really sorry. But we are going to. I'm going to try and bring it up. No, it's not going to come up, is it?
I can't see it.
No, sorry. It is. It says that Narnia 2, which is the Chronicles of Narnia, Prince Caspian.
Oh, okay, all right.
Now, remind me, did we do The Lion? I think we did The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
I thought we did too.
I'll have a quick look, and because this will be the sequel to the original Lion King, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Let me just double check. But yeah, so next week is the Chronicles of Narnia. Yes, we did back 8 months ago. We did the Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. We are now going to be doing the sequel, Chronicles of Narnia, Prince Caspian, which I'm really looking forward to because I haven't seen that film in a long, long time. And it's quite underrated. So I would definitely give it a go. So guys, go out this week, watch the Chronicles of Narnia, Prince Caspian, and then come back my channel this time, 5 p.m. next week, to discuss the Chronicles of Narnia, Prince Caspian.
Yep. So there you go, guys. That is this week's Disney movie review. We thank you all for being here. This has been absolutely fantastic. Again, thank you all to the mods, the members, everybody who watched. Be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to get ready for next week's show. Go out to Dan's channel. Other than that, we just have to say, for the good of all Cree.
For the good of all Cree.
And until next week, take care of yourselves and each other. And we'll talk to you guys soon. Bye, everybody. Hey. Go fly a kite.
Let's go fly. Well, maybe not now. It's dark.
Not where I am. It's still sunny. Bye, everybody.
Bye.